We will call to order the meeting of Tuesday, February 10 of the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County. I thank you for the opportunity to chair this meeting and hope that we can proceed more than tolerating but also encouraging active and thoughtful discussion and the differences of opinion that validate the role of a board, all of us with a commitment to the common good and some of us with different perspectives on how to achieve it. We'll begin with the roll call.
Mr. Hendon?
Here.
Mrs. Trout?
Here.
Mr. Zaring?
Here.
Mrs. Lamacchia?
Here.
Mr. Wright?
Here.
Mr. Sitton?
Here. Public comments.
There are none.
Lots of snow in Boston.
Lots of gratitude in Cincinnati.
Yes.
Next order of business is the director's report. Kim Fender.
Okay, it finally loaded just in time. Well, the first thing is just kind of a recap of all of the accomplishments of 2014. And you have a printed copy of the highlights for you to take with you. And we hope that you enjoy hearing about all the things that happened in the past year. We did set a record for our number of items borrowed at 18,249,132. So that was an accomplishment. And as always, digital downloads. There's 2 million items downloaded, accounting for about 10% of our total circulation. Reference questions were up 8%, which was also very interesting for us to know, with 2.1 million. Program attendance was up, and the number of programs also. So we had a very strong year. Our cardholders ended the year just under 580,000, and of course we're now significantly higher than that. I'm not going to go through everything on this list because it's a pretty long list. So if you had any questions about any of the things, the building projects that we got underway, our change from summer reading to summer learning, the mobile service model that we're implementing at the new locations primarily, but then throughout the system, any of those, and of course the Makerspace, which opened this January, but was really planned and implemented throughout 2014.
Has everyone been to the Makerspace?
No,
Oh, you need to go. It is incredible.
After the meeting. Just a question, just curiosity. What kind of reference questions were there more of one particular variety, or?
I don't really know because we just get a tally of how many there were, but what we have seen in the past is that the kind of simple reference questions that we used to get a lot of, things like populations or top 10 kinds of lists, those sorts of things people can find for themselves. They tend to be more in-depth questions that require the research abilities of the library.
I was just wondering if there was a certain subject or something that was just out of curiosity. Okay.
To Bob's point, not only the Makerspace is amazing, but what's equally gratifying is the response to it. Being met with enormous interest and enthusiasm. And I was told this morning that now one has to make a reservation because the volume of requests is so significant.
There's a Makerspace now. We have 13 3D printers, I believe.
Next is our cardholder satisfaction survey results. We've been doing a cardholder satisfaction survey for several years now, which is great because it lets us really look at things that are changing, things that are not changing, and whether those changes are positive or negative. One of the interesting things this year is that we had nearly 13,000 survey responses, which was double the number we had in 2013. The overall satisfaction rating remained about the same at 6.2 out of 7. So it's gone up slightly, down slightly over the past 4 or 5 years, but really stayed right in that same range. So that's kind of an interesting thing. The percent of customers who downloaded from the virtual library had been increasing, but decreased slightly in 2014. And when asked what would increase their use of the library, we found that people wanted new and popular items in both books and ebooks, and also more DVDs. So that was kind of an interesting response for us. It seems that we can never buy enough new materials to satisfy that demand. So we will certainly be using that as we purchase for the collection this year. I thought a couple of these things were just kind of interesting. The people who responded had read or listened to an average of 18.7 books in the past year, which seems like a pretty high number compared to most of the stats you see on a national average. There were frequent library visitors as children, with nearly 60% visiting more than once a month as a child. And they were well-educated, 71% having a bachelor's degree or higher. They were women, 68.8%, and they were not the primary caregivers for children of any age. So more than 80% in every age of the child. But what we need to do then is reach the community who are not college educated with information about our programs.
Is there any concentration of the basis for those who are less satisfied? Concentration of the reasons, what they're looking for, they're not finding?
The collection, it was primarily just more new materials. That's why we asked that question. We've asked that question for years, but this time we gave them options to give us more information. So they would say they wanted more different materials in the collection, but we didn't really have any specifics on that. So when they said they wanted more audiovisual, we said, well, what do you mean by that? Are you talking about music? Are you talking about movies? And so that's how we got that information, so we could drill down a little bit more. The areas that they were most satisfied with were the staff friendliness and helpfulness, and also the condition and safety of our facilities, which I think is important to know. This year, we included something called a Net Promoter Score, and some of you may be familiar with this. This is just a one-question scale of customer loyalty, and it says, how likely are you to recommend the library to others? 78% of respondents were very likely, 16% somewhat likely, and 6% unlikely. And so the way you get the Net Promoter Score is you subtract the detractors, that 6%, from the promoters, the 78%, for an excellent Net Promoter Score of 72. My understanding is that anything over a 50 in a Net Promoter Score is considered to be really a strong score. So this is an excellent score, but the important way to use this measure is to identify the detractors and follow up, because we all know people who are dissatisfied are far more likely to share their experience than people who are satisfied. So we certainly want to continue to work on that. Also, I forgot to mention this, we would like to compare this branch to branch. The score we have now is primarily system-wide, but it'd be great to know if there are any problem areas or kind of superstars among our branches so that we could share those best practices across the system.
You know, whether that 6% is...
All in one or two locations, exactly. That would be really helpful to know. And we should be able to do crosstabs on that survey and see where those scores came from. So we just haven't done that yet. We're going to be using some of our best customers to give testimonials about their use of the library. We can track how many items you check out over time from the start of this new system to the present day. Now, we don't know what you checked out. I want everybody to be comfortable with that, but we do know how many things you checked out. Just a count. It just puts a little tick in there every time you check something out. And this was really, really interesting to see. The top individual borrower had borrowed nearly 30,000 items since August of 2012. That's a lot of things to check out in that period of time. And among the top 100 borrowers, there were also many served by our outreach services department, so some of the people who are having things delivered to them are really using this very heavily. They also had numerous teachers and homeschools were included in those top lists. One family had 3 separate members in the top 100 list, which was really interesting as well. So they have a really heavy library user.
Don't spend a lot of time talking to each other.
I guess not. And since one of them had a card that did not allow them to check out DVDs, it's not that they're watching a lot of movies, they're checking out books and things. So it's a lot of reading. Obviously, they really value that.
So 30,000 is like 100 a day.
On average.
But this is since 2012.
Yes.
So it's 2.5 years.
Yes. That's still
But
a lot of
still,
books. That's still a lot of books over that period of time.
There are daily limits, right? Aren't there?
No.
Oh, no longer.
There are limits for DVDs, for ebooks, for some of those formats, but not for just ordinary books.
That'd be a Guinness World Record.
Where did you find the time to read that?
Well, and they may not read everything completely. I mean,
Yeah.
some people who are big consumers of information
Well-
may skim through titles and...
Or it's just weightlifting.
Do
perhaps.
children, do classified, I mean, children's books they could take out.
Right, they could go through...
I used to take out like
quickly.
20 books twice a week when my kids were little from the library.
So you might have been in the top
I might
list
have been.
then.
And I will not have read a single book for myself because I didn't have
For a lot
time.
of children's books. So anyway, we thought they would be great speakers about the value and use of libraries, and we're going to offer them a gold card, so when they go into their local library to check things out, they'll know they're a special customer. Use of the library is changing again. We looked at our statistics, and it shows that the use of library-provided computers has dropped by almost 16% in the last 2 years, from a high of 1.9 million to 1.6 million in 2014. And Maine Library was a significant portion of this decline, dropping from almost 600,000 to 474 in 2014. 474,000, I want to make that clear. I can see the number, but somebody who's listening wouldn't know that. So we think that the adoption of mobile devices was a contributing factor, that a lot of the kind of quick uses where people would check their email or something, is letting them use either our Wi-Fi or their own data plan to do those kinds of things. And then the people who are coming in and using the computers are staying for a much longer period of time and using the full hour session that they're allowed to use on the library computers, which results in a decrease in the number of computer sessions, but not necessarily a need to reduce the number of computers. So we are looking at a lot of different uses for those computers. We're planning to add some different software, to add Apple computer products, and of course, as the Wi-Fi use continues to grow, we'll need to increase our bandwidth, which in itself is a pretty significant cost. And then if you look at the stats that we put together, there's a pie chart showing some data about the PC and Wi-Fi use later on. The governor's budget was introduced on February 2nd. This is the first step in the state's fiscal year 2017 budget process. That sounds weird, 2017, but that's the budget they'll be adopting. It does propose numerous tax changes with a sizable reduction in income taxes, but offset by increases in other taxes. 2/3 of our funding still comes from the state, and so we'll be watching this very closely to make sure that any changes, how they impact our budget, and make sure that the General Assembly understands that before they make those decisions. I've been asked to serve again on the Southwest Ohio Region Workforce Investment Board. I served on this previously, but they need more business representatives and asked some of us to step aside. But the new legislation, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, replaced the 1998 Workforce Investment Act, and it specifically includes public libraries and partners in workforce development. So they would like the library to be back on that board. So this lets us share with them the various programs and services we have that help with workforce development, and also partner with them on future initiatives. And that starts this Thursday. It's just an update on the foundation's activities. They held their quarterly meeting on January 28th, and the resignation of Foundation Chairman Charlie Powers was announced. Scott Richards was elected chairman, and here's just a quick summary. The foundation's annual fund total is over $109,000. The endowment is now at $3.8 million. The annual distribution from the Eva Jane Romaine Coombe gift for naming rights for the director's position is $37,312.77, and we have already received that check. Naomi Gerwin, the sponsor of the Writer in Residence program, has contributed $20,000 to continue the program for the next 2 years. Foundation Director Tom Law has made a 10-minute documentary video of the Writer in Residence to be available once final editing is complete. We saw a little preview of that, but it wasn't done yet. But when it is, I'll make sure you all know and have a link to that to watch it. The Foundation received over $1,200 from Kroger's Community Rewards Program. This is where you just use your little Kroger Rewards card, and part of your purchase goes to the Foundation. It's an easy way to raise money. And Kroger donated $2,100 in gift cards to purchase healthy snacks for children during the school winter break. So we were really happy to be able to provide them with a little food to help them through that long break. Proceeds from the Friends Winter Warehouse sale in January were $30,394, a sizable increase of 17% over 2014's total of $24,845. The next sale is at the Madeira branch, March 5th through March 7th. Their Board of Trustees met on January 23rd, and they approved their fiscal year budget, which includes a $15,000 reduction in library support, dropping from $225,000 to $210,000. They're projecting a $20,000 drop in book sale revenue, primarily as a result of the retirement of a longtime volunteer who handled internet sales of the more valuable books, and he would bring in about $25,000 in revenue each year. Apparently, they do not have someone lined up to step in and replace him. Since 2003, the Library and Friends have had a services agreement regarding the handling of library discards and services that we provide to the Friends. After being renewed several times, the agreement became month-to-month in 2011. Over the years, the services that we provide have changed, and we need to revisit that agreement. So I plan to give the Friends the 60 days notice required to terminate the agreement, but will continue to provide those services until we reach a new agreement. I attached a copy of the current one for you to review, but because of that, I would like you to approve the director's report. Any other questions?
Second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
That's so much easier than a roll call,
It is
isn't
so
it?
much easier, thank you.
Wow. That made a big difference.
Finance and Audit?
Finance and
All right.
Audit.
Got two items. The 2015 appropriations established in December of 2014 includes $2 million to be transferred from the general fund to the building and repair fund. Authorization is requested to transfer those funds during the year as cash flow permits as determined by the fiscal officer. Second item, 2015 appropriations approved at the December 2014 board meeting included a typographical error for the object level for both the Dwyer Fund reported as capital outlay and the Howard Fund reported as purchased contracted services. The correct object in both cases is library materials. The correct object was reported to the county when annual appropriations were submitted in January 2015, so this is being reported merely for confirmation and clarification purposes. So I do have one item to be voted on, and so I will submit my report.
So move, we accept that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Fiscal Officer's report.
Okay. The table below presents the ending fund balances for 2014. The ones reported at the December meeting were estimates, and all of the variances were favorable compared to the original estimates. And the 2014 general budget compared to actual, the table below shows the beginning budget versus the revised budget, and then the actual with the variances. The overall revenue was almost 2.5% over the revised budget. This is mainly the result of the PLF and tax labor receipts coming in slightly ahead of expectations. Expenses came in about 3.5% less than the revised budget. This is in large part from realized salary and benefit savings as a result of continued implementation of ongoing cost-saving measures, vacant positions, and historically conservative budgeting of salaries and benefits, as well as the continued utility savings recognized through the 2 energy retrofit projects. And the 2014 audit is going to be performed by the Auditor of State's Office, and it is scheduled to begin the week of February 23rd.
Questions, comments? Library operations.
The Tech Center Department Manager, Bill Hayden, began working for the library as a Tech Center Manager in February of 2013. With 100 public access computers and 25 computer and technology-related classes per month, the Tech Center is an incredibly popular and crucial service for our job seekers, students, small business owners, and many others. In December of 2014, Bill's role expanded to include the management of the new makerspace area. Before coming to the library, Bill's work experience included 6 years in the United States Navy, 20 years at Luxottica Retail in Information Systems, and 4 years as the Director of Technical Services at Luxottica. He is a member of the current Management Academy class. Greg, would you like to?
Good morning. A little over 2 weeks ago, the Makerspace opened, and it has been very popular since we opened it. Customers and staff have been excited about what the Makerspace has to offer. Every day, we have customers coming up to us and thanking us for this wonderful space. Currently, the Makerspace has 12 stations. Those most used stations are the Button Maker 3D station, the sound booth, the vinyl printer, the laser engraver, and the photo station. All these stations are being used daily, and reservations are usually full each morning before we open. In February, we've been offering clinic programs that give our customers hands-on education on how to use the stations. We provide these twice a day, Monday through Friday. On Saturdays, we offer make and takes that allow customers to take home samples. These samples can include buttons, stickers, bumper stickers, pictures, those types of things. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays afternoons, we offer a children's program and a teen program. These programs are a collaboration between the makerspace, the teen, staff, and the children's area. In March, our plans are to expand our programming to provide additional training for each station. We will have several outreach programs, business and school tours that we are finalizing as we speak. On Fridays, we will have a home school program that will happen every Friday. On Saturdays, we will be doing our Makerspace in Residence program, which has us partnering with community makers. In this program, they will be doing the teaching. Thank you. Any questions?
When someone reserves a time, is it a certain time they have, like an hour, or is it for a certain project, or what? How does it work?
Minimum is 1 hour. Some stations require more time, so some stations are 2 hours.
Are we doing anything, which of course is a two-edged sword, to notify the public, A, that we exist, and the broad response and deep response we're getting, but so that people don't show up not knowing that it's already full? Would it be worthwhile on various radio or television stations to send out an announcement so people are aware that it is available, but also not to simply show up because you can make an effort to come down and then find you weren't able to use it? I realize the marketing of it isn't your area of responsibility, but is it something that you think should be done?
There has been marketing, of course, for it, and we are running into people coming in each day, not a lot, that we are full and they do not know that. I will say that it's been very positive, though. No one has been upset about it. We usually find them something else they can do, or we work with them to either work them in somehow in the schedule or to try to set up another date and time for them.
How far in advance can a person make a reservation?
We currently changed that to 99 days. The reason we did that is people were calling us wanting to schedule time when their kids were off school that were 1 and 2 weeks out. So I worked with Marty Beets and we changed that to 99 days.
Can you schedule it online where you can actually see the availability? Like you go in, and if I wanted to schedule something from 10 to 11, then it's like, okay, well, I can see that that's blocked off, and then maybe 2 to 3 is, I mean, is there a place to actually see that, like, and then you schedule it that way, or do you just call somebody?
I wish we had that.
Okay.
Currently, you can make a reservation, but you cannot see what other reservations are available. But what it will do is, if you make a reservation for a time that's booked, it will not allow you to make that reservation.
Yeah, that's good.
So we included in our stats a few pictures of the makerspace, for those of you who haven't seen it, and then here on this page, some figures about the usage just in the first week. And Bill mentioned the button maker. 475 buttons were made. So people were really apparently just anxious to make some buttons. So, but a lot of the other equipment got quite a bit of use as well in that first week.
Other questions, comments? Thank you and your team for making this exciting thing happen.
Thank you.
Greg, would you like to resume the rest of the report?
Yeah, I can do it. You want me to?
Yes.
Sure. Ohio Anna is coming again. This will take, this is a group of, or Hamlin County authors who come together, and it'll be April 12th, 1:30 to 4 o'clock. And we recognize the authors. There's a meet and mingle. There's a speaker as well, and there's also opportunity for those who visit to buy their books. We had on the same day a couple weeks ago visits from 2 separate libraries. We had Dan Meehan, who's an architect working with the Toledo Lucas County Library, here at the main library to look at our mobile service model, and we're piloting that in the Information Reference Department as well as at Westwood Branch. And this model, of course, they're looking at the model, I assume, to implement or potentially implement in their branch or in their library system. And our 3 new branches will have the mobile service model fully operational when they open. Lexington Public Library also had some representatives here to look at Groesbeck and Main Library's drive-through window. They're building a new branch, and they wanted to see, how our drive-through windows work. They also took some time to look at our sorter as well as the makerspace, which had just opened, or which just was available. Some new databases that are available. One in particular called lynda.com, and this is an award-winning online service that is really geared toward technology, software technology, creative activities, business support of businesses, and a lot of video tutorials on it. It's a very nice product. A couple other ones as well. We're also working on the New York Times that should be coming soon. The Lloyd Library, just down the street, was asked by the Catesby Commemorative Trust to sponsor a book release party on April 19th for the publication of Curious Mr. Catesby, a truly ingenious naturalist explores new worlds. And they have asked us, the Lloyd Library has asked us to host a reception the night before on the 18th, 6:30 to 8, which we'll have here at the main library. And we have Mr. Catesby's first edition work, which the Lloyd Library has, entitled Natural History of Carolina, Florida, and the Bahama Islands. We have a 3rd edition of that, as well, of course, the Audubon's Birds of America, which will be of interest to that group. Some programs, Maureen Corrigan, who is the author of the 2015 On the Same Page title, So We Read On, How the Great Gatsby Came to Be and Why It Endures. We'll be here at the main library March 7th at 2 o'clock, which should be a very interesting talk. And again, on the same page, we're looking at her book as well as The Great Gatsby also, and both of those works encouraging people to read. 33rd Annual St. Patrick's Day Celebration, always big, well-attended program here at the main library. Will take place on March 17th, 11:45. Celtic music by Foley Road, and the McGee Irish Dancers will be here. CPS art exhibition will be on display March 14th through April 19th, and this is something we've hosted for a number of years, and the CPS citywide art exhibition showcases artwork, drawing, painting, sculptures, photographs from their students. It's always very interesting from kindergarten up to 12th grade. Construction is also a very interesting exhibit. If you've never seen it, it's worth stopping by and taking a look at, but it's a global anti-hunger project. Teams of engineers. Team of engineers, architects, construction professionals who actually create a sculpture using only canned goods. So it always looks interesting. That will be March 3rd to March 22nd. We have a Cincinnati Reds baseball exhibit that will be at the Joseph S. Stern Jr. Cincinnati Room, April 4th. And that's the incorrect date. It's actually through July 31st. And this coincides with, of course, the All-Star Game taking place here in Cincinnati, and a lot of items that we own, as well as some on loan from the Reds Hall of Fame and some private collectors as well will be on exhibit. The Flying Pig Marathon Hog Log Program, which is a number of years we've partnered with the Flying Pig Marathon, and this is a program from February through April that encourages kids to read, and it also encourages them, engage them in fitness, fun, healthy food choices, and they're able to actually log miles, reading as miles in their hog logs. Read Across America, we participate in at the Cincinnati Museum Center on February 28, 10 to 4. We'll provide a lot of story times, crafts, games, all part of the annual Seuss Celebration, which is celebrating Dr. Seuss's birthday. Teen Tech Week takes place March 8th through the 14th. Libraries are for making is the theme, and it really ties into the whole makerspace, creating, making things and stuff. April is National Poetry Month, and we have team poetry contests that take place, and we also have our annual Poetry in the Garden series that will take place every Tuesday evening. We have a lot of local poets who will read their their works, so, yeah.
Questions, comments? Thanks to you and to Barbara Cobb. Next is our Human Resources Committee.
The
Double
Arts,
duty, Mrs. Strauss.
yes, the Arts Wave campaign. The library's Arts Wave campaign will run from February 2nd through February 20th. Last year, library staff contributed a little over $2,000. This year's campaign includes Jeans Days for giving on February 13th and 14th, the special Reds ticket incentive from Arts Wave and the popular Arts Pass. Our goal is to increase contributions to $2,500.
Can Andrea give you some exciting news here?
Yeah, as of this morning, we have raised over 4,000. And we're not even, we're not even halfway
Double.
through, we're just halfway through.
Double.
Is that more gifts or bigger gifts or both?
Right now, it's larger gifts. I haven't looked at the list,
Right.
but the number, I was expecting larger numbers of staff. It wasn't as large as I was expecting, so they're larger gifts so far.
And this is through the Jeans Day?
It's one of the incentive,
Okay.
it was a new incentive this year.
You think that affected it?
Well, I thought that would be the case, but it doesn't appear to be yet.
Okay.
Because to wear jeans, you only had to give $5, so we would have expected to have seen a lot of donors giving small amounts, but instead we're seeing
not the
people who have
case.
been longtime donors giving more.
It's wonderful.
Exciting.
Yes. OCRC charge. On January 20th, the library received notification of a discrimination charge filed with the Ohio Civil Rights Commission by Pam Rogers. The charge states that she believes she was denied entry without just cause because of race and sex when her library visits were suspended following an incident on August 11, 2014. Our labor attorney, Robert S. Brown, is working to resolve the matter. Volunteer statistics. In January of 2014, in an effort to strengthen our volunteer program, the library implemented a new volunteer management system, Volunteer Impact. The web-based system dramatically reduces time and cost for staff and volunteers by digitizing the application, placement, and tracking processes. Since the implementation of this new system, the library has received 1,145 volunteer applications and had a total of 677 volunteers log hours. Staff Association Executive Board. The Staff Association, established in 1925, is open to all staff members, including part-time employees and retirees. The Executive Board, elected by the membership, meets the first Thursday of every month, unless otherwise announced. The following staff members have been elected to serve on the Executive Board of Staff Association: Stephen Headley, President; Beth Thomas, Treasurer; Jessica Bowman, Secretary; Cheryl Selby, and Tom Moosbrugger. End of the report.
Questions, comments? Library operations and facilities.
All right, some project updates. Clifton, the interior drywall is nearly completed. The basement second floor have been primed and the first coat of paint applied. Plaster main level is being patched. The roof is complete on the addition. Exterior grading has started. We have the following change orders. They have been approved and submitted for confirmation. There's only one, Graybach, for the amount of $2,754 to assist with 2 additional joints to the basement ceiling. Some other items. St. Bernard and Reading. At Reading, the masons are laying brick with approximately 75% completed. Drywall is being installed and finishers have begun their work. At St. Bernard, the masonry is complete and drywall is being installed. The following change orders have been approved and are submitted for confirmation. Queen City, the amount of credit of $1,888, change the inner style stick to a carrier style. Valley Interior Systems, change order number 2, the amount of $1,300 for some blocking, raise the curtain wall. I'm not going to go through all these. You can read them there. They've all been, we just need to confirm.
And they've really slowed down, finally. We had a lot of
Change
change
orders.
orders at the beginning, but
How
now
are we on budget?
we're good, we're good. We're still within the contingency.
Good.
Otherwise, we'd be asking you to increase the budget or do something.
Projected closings for new branches. While the completion dates for the 3 branches currently under construction are not final, current construction timelines have them being completed around May or June. As part of the move, the new facilities, the existing branches will need to be closed in order to move the collections. The shutdown for each will be approximately 2 weeks. Termination clauses were included in the leases for both Clifton and Reading, so once vacated, we will no longer pay rent for the remainder of the lease term. Required cancellation notice will be given to the landlords of the current rental properties. Furniture for all 3 locations has been ordered. Mount Healthy and Deer Park leases due for renewal. Both the Mount Healthy and Deer Park leases expire in August 2015. Staff will shortly notify each landlord to begin negotiations for lease renewal. That concludes my report, and we need confirmation of change orders.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. The consent agenda items. Any questions, comments?
No? Move to accept.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there any other information, business to come before this meeting? There being none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.